Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are watching this week's video. Hey, we back. It's in September. The leaves is changing. At least in my area, they're changing. Um, but I got my shoulders out and I got this red lip. Now, let me tell y'all right now, I'm doing this red lip because I am inspired by one of my clients. Every time she meets me for a monthly accounting meeting, she got on a red lip. She is looking cute. And so I had one from Color Street that does the little nail strips, right? And I decided, let me try this little starlet, whatever, red lip. Let me put a red lip since I have on blue and white in my dress and green in my hair. Let's go with all the colors of the rainbow. Y'all let me know how this red lip is doing. Is it popping? Is it giving me life? Does it make me look a little bit youthful? Is my melanin popping? Y'all let me know. Do y'all like this red lip? I'm feeling it. This is my first time wearing it. Now, in a couple of hours, or when I finish this video and I get to drinking my water, that don't mean this red lip gonna be here. But y'all let me know if y'all feeling it. In fact, this is summertime hair, y'all. So next week, we gonna start to have fall hair, which means that these twists are coming out and we gonna try some different things with the hair. It'll probably be in, y'all will probably start to see wraps, head wraps and all this kind of stuff. A little bit more hair jewelry, little stuff out, different kinds of buns, the bush up underneath that y'all really can't see too much of. We working on these edges. Uh, the silver will shine through, um, and we'll go into fall hair. I do this because when it's hot outside, I cannot be dealing with stuff crawling on my back too much, and this make me feel like my hair is so much shorter when I'm whipping it back and forth. But then in the wintertime, y'all know we're gonna get winter hair, and y'all, that lock bun I had done before, that, you know what I'm saying, that lock bob, I think I'm gonna go back and try that. Y'all let me know. And if you see some hairstyles that you like, send them to me. Y'all are probably like, what kind of weekly video is this? This is important stuff so that I can show up cute, so I can inform y'all on a weekly basis. For some of y'all who are just meeting me for the first time, y'all are like, what kind of introduction is this chick doing? My name is Patrice L. Berry, EA. That EA stands for Enrolled Agent, which means that I'm specializing in all things tax, aka the tax cop. That's who I be. That's who I am. Y'all see that in the corner. All right, so this week's topic, we are going to talk about something that I had in a consult for one of my clients this week. And they brought up a very valid question. The client said, hey, I'm very conservative. I don't want no smoke from the peoples, but I do know that there are certain business expenses that I'm entitled to take. And people are telling me that, hey, we eating, we doing the things, we talking business. What do I definitely need to take as a business expenses when I'm out and we eating at the restaurants and it is a business meeting? So I thought we would go into more in-depth discussion. Now, I've talked about this topic before. So it doesn't matter if you're an independent contractor, 1099, if you are an LLC, if you're a C corporation, a partnership, an S corporation, if you are a business owner, a small business owner. Now, this is not for my necessarily W-2, you work for another company. That is not yours. Why do I say that? Is because I do have a company that I work for, that is mine, that I pay myself a W-2 salary because I am being taxed as a C corporation. So I do earn a W-2. However, as the company itself, separate and distinct from me being the employee, where I am the CEO, right, shareholder, owner, operator, officer in the company, my company does have certain expenses. And so we are talking about the expenses for the company. And the reason why this is important is because I need people to understand when the IRS comes and they are looking at expenses, are questioning anything that is on your Schedule C, on your 1120S, on your 1120, on your 1065. Those are my business returns. Okay. Schedule C is for independent contractor or LLC disregarded entity. My 1120 is for my C corporation. My 1120S is for my S corporation. My 1065 is for my partnership. When they are looking at those expenses, they are testing it against certain things. And the rule of thumb, which I've talked to you about before, is the fact that these expenses must be ordinary and or necessary to the operation of the business. I'm going to say that again. The definition that they're going to be looking for is looking for expenses that are ordinary and or necessary to the operation of that business. So everybody is like, hey, I want to do my car and I want to do this and that. So let's talk about some of the things that are coming up in the publication where you can go do this research for yourself. Because y'all know I'm all about bringing y'all the information directly from the streets, not from yours truly. Not what I think, but from the source themselves. We're going to go directly to the publication shortly. However, first, we're going to use one of my favorite tools, one of my favorite tax tools. I love the tax book. And I love the tax book because I think it does a great job of summarizing what is in there. It gives good examples. It breaks it down in a way that I can be like, and I've been using the tax book for years. It is a great way for me to check myself, or me to have the team check themselves on an educational stance to understand what the publication is saying in plain English. I feel like publications are written in plain English as well, but it puts it in a different presentation so that it can be grasped. And if you're really trying to figure out examples, they give examples very much so like if I was doing stuff in my tax textbook back in the day. And so that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love this resource. And I can pull it up on the website. And it is linked in a lot of tax softwares, professional tax softwares. When we're trying to deep dive in it, I think they do a great job. Is it the only tool that's out there? No, there are several different tools. Thomas and Reuters that I have, everything like that. There's quite a few tools that are out here that we can use, as well as there are case researches and stuff like that that we can go into a deep dive, which professionals like myself do. However, as a great resource to be able to teach people, a lot of times when I am doing consults, when I'm talking to business owners and they're trying to set certain things up, this is the tool that I will go to because I feel like the presentation is the best. So we're going to start there today. All right. So no, this is not mine. Y'all see it. TTB, the tax book web library. This is an online version, and this is my go-to. All right. So we're talking about meals, entertainment, travel, and lodging. I'm only going to point out a few things. We're going to highlight and give you a copy or give you access to go, hey, here's a link. Go look at the publication in detail yourself, because y'all know the auditor and me won't stop, can't stop, taking you out to the source. So I want y'all to remember this. All right, let's talk about it. Schedule C, record keeping and substantiation rules. Those are some other topics, right? Automobiles and listed property. There's some other topics on that. But mainly we're going to be talking about meals, entertainment, travel, and lodging. Special rules apply for substantiation of expenses for meals, travel, and lodging. Substantiation mean, so y'all can see my face, all substantiation mean is source. Where's your receipts, baby? That's what y'all say on the internet, right? Where the receipts? Just in case somebody asks, where the receipts, where the detail? If they come back and ask the questions for it, how you gonna pull up your receipts? All right, and what does that information need to show? All right, let's go back to it. So it says that we have to indicate the following. This is the taxpayer, not the tax preparer. The taxpayer, not the tax preparer. And even if you're working with me as one of my clients in your organizer, I may not ask for all of this, but you need to have this stuff ready just in case they ask some questions and we get a letter and we got to go back and prove substantiation, because they will and can easily up here disallow some stuff and we don't want the smoke. All right, so you need to know the amount of the expense. Normally, if you're swiping with a credit card or something like that, it's there. You got the receipt, it's there, right? The time and place of travel. The business purpose of the expense. So if you are traveling for a conference or something of that sort and it's business related, but you decide to stay a couple of days, we want to actually have, hey, I was in the conference from this hours to this hours. Yes, I did stay over the weekend. Yes, the primary purpose was business, but I did do some personal. Most of my time, let's say 80% of my time in this case, happened to be for business purposes. So that's what my ticket was for. And I only spent 2 extra days. I stayed Saturday and Sunday, flew out late Sunday just to kind of get some R&R before I had to go back into the office, right? Primary purpose was business. We did have a little bit of pleasure in there, but primary purpose is business. Know that. Have your conference, have your registration fee, have your books, whatever, but the purpose of the business an expense, definitely for travel. Okay. All right. The business relationship between the taxpayer and the person's provided meals. Do we got a business relationship? Are you and your boo thing just going out all the time every Friday? You say, baby, we talked about the business. Now let's cut the steak. That's not going to fly. I want to also point out something very important when we come to meals that I want y'all to stress, because a lot of times we'll use that because that's quick and dirty. And let's have a business meal. Let's have drinks. Let's do this. The tax implications of it may not be benefiting you the way you think it's benefiting you. Okay? Now, self-employed taxpayers, you got per diem rates for meals when you're out of town. Anybody who's worked for somebody else's company, y'all kind of understand that in detail. Employer reimbursements, per diem rates can be used by an employer to reimburse an employee for travel and meals in place of actual receipts. Every company should have their own rules for reimbursement and vouchers. So some companies, this is what I'm going from with when I work with the government. If it was over $70, we definitely had to have a receipt for it. Anything under $70, we didn't. I kept all receipts so I could get my reimbursement to pay the government credit card because I ain't want no smoke. But things to think about in your own company. What is our employee reimbursement rules and regulations? Where do we have them written down? Are we reconciling that? Things to consider. All right, lodging. An employer must use per diem rates to substantiate employee reimbursement for travel and meals. Traveling exceptions. Documentary evidence is not needed if any of the following conditions apply. The expense other than lodging is less than $75. So that's where that rule came from with the government, right? The taxpayer has meals or lodging expenses while traveling away from home that he or she accounts for to the employer under an accountable plan, and the per diem allowance method that includes meals and other lodging is used. The taxpayer has a transportation expense for which a receipt is not readily available. All right, so those are the exceptions. All right, entertainment. Now, I need y'all to not shoot the messenger on this one, okay? Entertainment, there is currently no deduction is allowed with respect to any activity generally considered to be entertainment, amusement, or recreation. Membership dues with respect to any club organized for business, pleasure, recreation, or other social purposes, or a facility or portion thereof used in connection with any of the above. All right, so entertainment includes any activity generally considered to provide entertainment, amusement, or recreation. Examples include entertaining guests at nightclubs, at social, athletic, and sporting clubs, at theaters, at sporting events, at the strip club. It don't say strip club, but y'all get what I'm saying. Fishing, vacation, similar trips, entertainment. Also may include meeting personal living or family needs of individuals, such as providing meals, a hotel, any of that stuff. Entertainment is not deductible. So when you're doing your record keeping, I need you to distinguish between what is entertainment and what is not. And I would encourage you in your chart of accounts to make sure that you have that. Why? Because entertainment is not deductible. Now, I'm going to go back and tell you, is it a business expense? Yes, your business can pay for that expense. Is it a business expense that is deductible for tax purposes? It is not. Those are two different things. Some of these things are things that you give, right? And are able to do. Hey, we got season tickets and we pass out this and we did do an entertainment event. Can it be on the financial statements as an expense all day long? I'm not going to tell you that it's not a business expense. I am telling you that for tax purposes, it is not a deductible business expense. So therefore, a distinction needs to be made in your accounting records so that we can see that difference. Please do not shoot the messenger. Do I report it on your tax return? Yeah, I report it as a non-deductible expense. And the reason why I'm able to tell that is because I can distinguish the two in your accounting records. All right? If y'all want me to dive deeper into that, I ain't got no problem doing it. Okay? Meals. Meals, however, are generally deductible if incurred while traveling on business or if provided to a client, customer, or employee. There's other sections that talk about that. What happens with reimbursed bills? What happens if you're an independent contractor? Who gets that expense, etc. Let's look at this chart over here. Oh, before we do that though, I need y'all to understand that deduction is limited to 50%, meaning that for tax purposes, we are only getting 50% deduction. So I'm going to enter 100%, and that thing is automatically going to be cut in half. Now, we had some years where they were allowing us to take 100%, but normally the tax rule is 50%. So I'm going to say this again as well so you can see my face. It is a business expense. Can be a business expense on your accounting records all day long, on your financial statements all day. However, when I go and put it in your tax return, you are only going to get a 50% deduction for meals. So if you are banking on, yo, I'm taking this person out, we having this business meeting, we doing this, we doing that, and I got, let's say, $10,000 in meals, and none of it was entertainment, and it was all business meals, because I'm out here negotiating stuff, I'm over here making deals, I'm doing the things, I'm meeting the people, I'm making the connections, I'm networking my butt off over business meals. We are only able on taxes to deduct $5,000 of that. Now on your financial statements, it's going to be sitting up there. And then I don't want you being mad at me or any other tax professional when you like, but wait a minute, what happened to the rest of my money? IRS said you can only have half of it as a deduction. And you need to be able to substantiate that with the things we said. Business purpose, who was there, relationship, how much it cost, date. Okay? All right, is that clear? Everybody say yes. Yes, Ms. Ma'am, it is clear. Great. All right, let's look at this. 50% limitation on meals, 80 cents for transportation workers. So our truck drivers get a little bit more because they on the road, they doing their thing, right? Taxpayer incurs a meal expense, reimbursed by employer or payer. If it's not reimbursed, hey, are we doing it on an accountable plan? Yes or no? If it is, then it's not deductible. But if they're not, certain taxpayers deduct the meal using Form 2106, subject to 50% or 80% limitations. Okay? Accountable, if reimbursed by employer, is this via an accountable plan or provided with payer records? If it's no, then an employer or payer deducts 100% as wages or other taxable income, right? If you had to come out of, we do it, right? Accountable plan provided, and we didn't have one, okay, that's compensation, right? The expense exceed reimbursement, yes or no? Yes, then that excess amount is reimbursed. If no, employer or payer can deduct subject to 50%, meaning the business owner that is going to get that expense, not you. Okay? For example, we got for tax years 2018 through 2025, employee business expense is only available to specific taxpayers. Everybody don't get it. All right? Let's look. I'm looking. Then we have some examples, right? Let's look at these two examples, and then I'm going to show you the publication. Example number 1. Aaron invites Brad, a business contact, to a baseball game. Aaron purchases tickets for himself and Brad to attend the game. While at the game, Aaron buys hot dogs and drinks for himself and Brad. The cost of the baseball ticket is a non-deductible entertainment expense. So you went to the basketball game, you did these things. In this case, they went to a baseball game. Going to the baseball game and buying tickets to the event is a non-deductible expense. Now, before Tax Cut and Jobs Act, we were able to take 50% of entertainment. But now, and people would do that. That's why they would get the box office and all this kind of stuff, and they would be like, hey, let's make these deals over here at the golf course and stuff. You can't be doing that. You cannot. I am not making this stuff up. They take the people to the strip club, all this stuff. I'm not making this stuff up. Y'all see the example. Aaron may deduct 50% of the cost of the hot dog and drinks, which are purchased separately from the game tickets, as a meal expense. All right, example number 2. Y'all probably like, Patrice, I can't see that. That's huge, right? Where's my mouse? Y'all done lost my mouse. All right. Chris invites Dan, a business contact, to a basketball game. I love a good basketball game, y'all. Chris purchases tickets for himself and Dan to attend the game in a suite where they have access to food and beverages. The cost of the basketball game tickets, as stated on an invoice, includes the food and beverages. The cost of the game tickets is a non-deductible entertainment expense. The cost of the food and beverages, which is not purchased separately from the game tickets, is not stated separately on the invoice, is also a non-deductible entertainment expense. Therefore, Chris may not deduct any of the expenses that he done spent the money on. Okay? I'm not going to tell you that you cannot put it on the books. You might have used the expense card from the business to do this because it actually was a business meeting. But I need you to understand that because it's not split, it was part of the stuff, and it's not itemized, it's not broken out, it's not separate and distinct. Entertainment is not deductible on the tax return. Only meals up to 50% are. And I hope y'all, I'm driving it home enough because I know I done talked for 20 some minutes so y'all can actually get this. So you won't have to substantiate it. That burden of proof is on you because if they come back and start asking questions because stuff looks excessive, they will, and you gonna have to pull them receipts out. All right, before we go, I want to share with you all. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Boom, boom, boom. And we'll make sure we get a link in this week's video, okay? Or this week's newsletter. Publication 463, travel, gift, and car expenses. This right here is breaking this down. How to record keep forward, what can be taken, what can't be, travel, meals and entertainment, 50% limitation that we just talked about, gifts, what the limit on that is, transportation, how it needs to be recorded, record keeping, how to report it. What needs to be done? What goes in your accountable plan versus non-accountable plan? What's for independent contractor versus the client? Who gets to take it? All these things. This publication talks about it. IRS publication 463, travel, gift, and car expenses. When we're doing stuff in 2024, you'll get the update in 2025, etc. We were going to make sure that y'all get a link to it so that you can go through it for yourself and know for yourself. So you don't be upset when you just giving expenses and being like, I don't have a lot of overhead, or I don't have a lot of this, or I don't have a lot of that, and I need expenses, so let me go ball out with the business credit card or the business account because I need some stuff at the end of the year. It's holidays and we can ready to do all this stuff. You cannot do all that. And when you're recording it in your books, you need to be distinctive between entertainment, travel, how long you traveled, all this kind of stuff. Because if somebody come back and ask the questions and they want to actually dig deep, that they can, and you be able to substantiate it. And you and your tax professional can be able to be like, we comfortable with what these amounts are, and this is why we got our receipts, let them come. Okay? These are the things that I need you all to consider when you're thinking about how to audit proof your business and your life. Before you even get to this point, as you're doing the things, as you're planning out stuff, remember I told y'all one of my favorite habits is begin with the end in mind. I need you to be planning this stuff out and knowing what the rules are. Notice I did not make a distinction on what type of business, meaning the niche, the industry, or the niche, the industry, whatever. I'm telling you any business. This is how the IRS looking at it because what did I tell you that they're going to say? Is the expense ordinary and or necessary to the operation of your business? If you can substantiate that this is ordinary and or necessary to the operation of your business, by all means, do you, boo. Do you. But if you cannot, be mindful that if they come back and they ask questions, that is an expense that's on the table to potentially be disallowed, which could increase your tax liability. If you have any other questions and this got even confusing and you want me to dive deeper into a certain type of expense or something else, please let me know. For that client that asked, I hope that this kind of puts things into perspective even further than what we discussed earlier this week. I hope that this video was very, very helpful. And for all of y'all that are considering having a business, those who are starting out in business and those that have been in business for a while, let this video be that opportunity for you to be like, ooh, let me check myself. Let me make sure I'm doing stuff the way I need to, because I don't want the smoke and I don't feel like having to explain stuff when I've already done it. And let's tighten things up. This is our time now to tighten stuff up. All kinds of things are happening in the atmosphere, and we want to be right and we want to be ready now. Because if we're ready now, then we don't have to get ready, and we can stand with our chests stuck out, our heads held high, our red lip on, if it applies to you, and be like, baby, bring it, because we got it. Until next week, y'all send these comments and questions and things you would like me to break down. I'm here for it. I love to take the opportunity to be able to say, let's take it from here. Let's look at some examples. Let's make it practical. Let's make it something that you can deal with so that you can know how to operate in these tax streets. So until next week, we out, y'all. Peace. Y'all let me know about this lipstick. Okay? Bye.